By the time that I had surgery, I mean, this isn't a question I got, I'm just kind of curious. By the time I had surgery, like the day of surgery, did you still think I was nuts?
Yes.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Bryan to get back with coffee, and then we are going to go through and answer all 61 of your YouTube questions and all 45 of your Instagram questions, or at least as many as we can. Baby love!
Is this how you live all day?
Yeah.
Just in front of cameras?
Good morning, beautiful internet friends. I finally have my fantastic, handsome, awesome husband. He's feeling much better. So we are going to do a Q&A today, because he's the best and agreed to do it, with your questions off of YouTube and Instagram. So we have a lot of questions to get through. We'll get through the best one. Let's start with how we met, because a lot of people asked us that question.
I'm originally from New York, upstate New York, and I was out here for a combination of seeing my sister who lives in Colorado Springs, and also just do a little jiu-jitsu training. And I was actually at a tournament in Denver. And
that's where we are now.
That's where I met you. Know each other now for about 6 years?
Yeah.
A little over 6 years. Married for over 3. Things progressed pretty quickly. I met her in August. I was out here by October at least.
Yeah, he moved out here within 3 months of us, or 3 weeks of us officially dating, which in most cases doesn't work out, but it worked out fabulously for us. One question that came up a number of times was, how did you feel about considering amputation when I brought it up?
First, I was very against it.
Yes.
Yeah. I thought she was crazy.
We had lots of passionate discussions about it. I won't say arguments.
Yeah.
By the time that I had surgery, I mean, this isn't a question I got, I'm just kind of curious. By the time I had surgery, like the day of surgery, did you still think I was nuts?
Yes.
Seriously?
Yeah, I agree. I told myself I was gonna think she was nuts right up until the day that she did it, and as long as she was on board still, if she could be on board with it fully the day of, then I'll be fully on board with it the day of.
You did an awesome job of faking it.
I did.
Yeah, like
I did.
10 points for acting.
But no, I'm glad she did it. Recovery's been a little rougher than we expected due to you know, prosthetic issues, bone bursa stuff, but other than that, it was a pretty quick, pretty effortless recovery. I mean, you had of course a ton of pain in the beginning, but once you got past that, I was just blown away by the progress curve.
Georgia asks, what are our star signs? I'm a Taurus.
I'm Aquarius.
Aquarius?
January 22nd is Aquarius, right?
Ironically, I forget if I told you this or not, but I looked up our compatibility once, and it was like 8%. It was like, these people should never get married. And
time will tell, right? We're only 3 years into this.
But I really like being married to this guy, so I don't know. Astrology. Random girl asks, any future plans regarding your family?
Maybe. We've always talked about possibly adopting at some point in the future.
Or fostering.
It's always been something that we couldn't really consider too seriously, just because, you know, with her, for those who don't know, it's okay if I say this, she also has a Chiari malformation in her brain, which causes chronic migraines all the time and everything. And she has to take a lot of medications for that can't be taken if she was to be pregnant. So a lot of it comes down to, could we even do this if we wanted to, medically, realistically, without making your life miserable? We thought about adopting a lot, still on the fence about it. Right now we have a family of 3 dogs and 2 cats, which is a bit.
And 3 rats.
And 3 rats,
and a hamster.
right. Try to forget that she has the rats. I'm not a big fan of them, but...
That answers another question. He hates the rats.
I don't hate the rats.
He's very tolerant.
If you just got rid of those tails, I'd be a lot better. So yeah, possibly.
Yeah, I've always wanted to adopt, like ever since I was a teenager. I don't know, I feel like there are a lot of kids who are stuck here without homes anyway, so if we had the means, because it's not cheap, I'd really like to do that. Ave asks, how has Joe's amputation affected you? And she also thinks we look adorable together. Thank you.
It was pretty impactful in the beginning, obviously, but we have a really great support system in place. My work especially has been amazing. Everyone I work with knows Jordan personally, and they knew what we were going through, and if I needed a day off, there was no questions asked. It was just a really great situation to be in. We also have great insurance through my work, so that helps a lot. On the finances, impactfully for a surgery like this. But overall, it was really, really good. How we did it was I kind of took the whole time off necessarily needed for surgery, and then after that, I would leave in the morning, go to work. Her mom, who's been great, would come and stay with her pretty much all day, every day when I was gone. I'd come back and take over. First 2 weeks were pretty rough, obviously. But after that, it's been pretty smooth sailing, actually. Pretty unchanged. I mean, it takes a little while to get everywhere now, just because her prosthetic stuff's not exactly where it needs to be.
If you want to go quickly, don't bring your amputee.
Yeah, don't. If you need to get something done quick, just leave your amputee at home.
Leave it at home.
Oh, on another note, I have to get her water every day, all day, which is a huge pain in the ass. She has this Brita filter that I have to fill up like 2 or 3 times a day. I don't know how anyone drinks so much water.
Water's good for you, for starters. Seriously, could not ask for a better source of support and care, except when it comes to getting me water. He loses his mind.
In my defense, she does always ask right when I'm settled into bed and ready to go to sleep and I'm relaxed. And then she kind of leans over and goes, could you get me some more water? And I'm just like,
no, I don't.
You didn't need it 5 minutes ago?
Good question, Emery. Emery wants to know, has the amputation brought us closer together or further apart?
I'd say closer together.
Me too.
I've had to help you in ways that I haven't had to help you before. It's kind of been nice.
We've got to spend a lot of time together too, like a lot of time at home, because especially for the first couple months we weren't going out and like doing a lot of stuff, and he sacrificed a ton of time to just be at home with me, just very normal life kind of stuff, and I love spending time with him, and so we've had great conversations and I think a lot of really awesome time.
Yeah, for those who know, I'm the exact opposite of a homebody, whatever that is. I do not like, if I'm not at work, like I like being out and doing things. I like going out to get dinner. I like just hanging out with friends, and you know, having to be, that was one of the biggest things I was worried about, was being stuck for so long at home, you know, not having that kind of release. That stuff that we would do all the time, and for about 3.5 months that just completely stopped.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest thing that I was worried about. But through that, it allowed us to just spend a lot of quiet time together, which we, ironically, I don't think I've ever really done for that kind of a length of time in our relationship. So that was nice. It was actually really nice. Just a lot of Netflix binging.
Yes.
Lots of Grubhub.
Oh, so much.
I've gained 20 pounds since this amputation.
Like, I wasn't worried about that because I know our relationship, like I know who you are, but I know of a number of stories of like married couples or relationships that like fell apart after a major surgery like this, after a major life change. And I think a tiny piece of me was like insecure and worried about that. I never needed to be, because like that's not what happened at all. And you've been amazing, and we've gotten through this, I think, really well. But I feel really lucky that I've been surrounded by the people that I've been surrounded by, because everyone's been awesome and really stepped up and been there, where I know that's not the case for everybody. Drew and Jasmine ask, do you, Bryan, help Jo a lot around the house, or does she do most of everything like cooking and cleaning? That is one thing that's changed.
So first off, she never cooked.
There was a 3-month period where we did HelloFresh.
Yeah.
They ship you food in boxes with like colorful cards on how to cook. I did cook then.
And that was fantastic.
And that was it.
But other than those 3 months of our entire lives,
yes,
she's never really cooked that much. But neither have I. So we're big restaurateurs.
Yeah.
It's changed a lot. I typically spend about 10 hours a day at the office. I'm also a level 2 CFA candidate, so I do a ton of studying for. I feel like I'm always studying for exams pretty intensely. So the idea of taking on, you know, the housework and cooking on top of being in the office 10 hours, doing at least 1.5 hours to 2 hours of studying a day, it's pretty intense. That is something that she's always stepped up to do. She's always been the one that cleans around the house, and she's always done it phenomenally, because she worked from home most of her life. So it works out really well. But that's kind of changed, of course, since the surgery. So it's been a bit of an adjustment. I would probably say that's probably been the most difficult part of all this.
Agree.
Keeping up with laundry, just tidying up after the house. I mean, those who know, we have dogs and stuff, so puppy fur and just stuff like that.
Jamie Styles asks, I'm curious to know, since my spouse would probably never tell me, is there anything you feel like you miss having a spouse with chronic pain or disability?
Do I miss having a spouse in chronic pain?
No. I mean, since you've known me, I've been in chronic pain. I'll have like bad migraines every 3 days or so. And now I was then as well, but now I'm, I guess, more disabled. Do you feel like you miss out on things?
No.
Being married to me?
Not at all. It just takes some scheduling. There has been times when we're like driving up to Denver to do something, and then on the car ride up, I look over at her and she's just not doing well, and we've had to turn around and go home and things like that. But
Yeah,
other than those
cancel plans.
other than those really rare occurrences, no, not at all. Also something I've gotten used to over the last 6 years of knowing you.
Yeah.
You've always kind of had, these migraine issues and
Yeah, I met you
things
and it was like that.
Yeah, and as far as the surgery actually, I think, maybe even made things a little better, because there was also pre-surgery numerous times where we couldn't go out and do anything simply because her ankle was throbbing and hurting so bad that we couldn't go anyway. So now that's kind of the same, but I think it's a lot less frequent than it was before, and she's still recovering without a prosthetic or anything like that. So if anything, I think that's just going to keep getting better.
Johanna asks, what do you love the most about each other?
I love how forgiving you are.
Aww.
I love how innocent you are. I mean, there's just so many random occurrences. Like one day we were, she never heard of who DMX was. She never heard of DMX before.
Don't judge me.
And there's just been so many things like that. I love that you're an animal lover, because I'm a huge
here.
animal lover.
I think for you, the first thing that comes to mind, I am so inspired by how dedicated you are to everything you do. Like, this guy works harder than literally anyone you ever met in your life, and you're dealing with so much, and you're still pursuing yourself, and that is so inspiring to me and just so cool to see.
Thanks.
And you always make time for me. He works a long, hard job and comes home and studies for one of the hardest tests you can take, and is going back to school just for himself, and you take fantastic care of me, and you just make time for me, and you have great conversations with me. Were we high school besties? No, I wish.
I would have been way too cool to hang out with her anyway, probably.
So true. I was like wearing boys' clothes because I thought girls were dumb, and running around the forest with homemade capes. Again, homeschooled. Charles asks, how did Bryan get so damn handsome?
Thanks, Charles.
I don't know, but it's pretty amazing.
I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question. How do I keep my hair so thin? A lot of stress, a lot of really bad genetics, horrible, the most piss poor diet you've ever seen.
It takes work.
It does.
It's not true.
Hopefully one day I will be rich enough where I can get hair replacement surgery, and then I will have the best hair in Hollywood. It's going to be amazing.
Are we moving to Hollywood?
Yes, we are. Whoever put that question in there, I really appreciate calling me out on Instagram, for my thin hair. Thanks.
Weirdly, it was someone named Bryan. History of Sarah asked a really good question. What advice do you have for a young couple where one is considering amputation?
Talk to each other.
Yeah.
Understand where someone's coming from. Like I said, I might not be the best source because in the beginning I didn't want this to happen at all.
Which is probably common.
But through talking to her, that discussion was exactly what got me on board eventually. Prepare, do the research ahead of time of what, not for the surgery. I think everyone's like Googling what's the surgery like, what's the recovery time like. What you're not Googling is how to deal at home when everything kind of lands on you and on your shoulders as a spouse or a partner or whatever. So I think doing the research there, having a few people that you can reach out to no matter what it is as a support system is great. So I think that's really it. Just doing the research about how it's going to alter your home life and your duties as a spouse or a partner, and making sure that you know what's going to be put on your shoulders before you kind of take this jump. Because it seems very unmanageable when it's you by yourself, but as soon as you have a couple people that are willing to help out, drop what they're doing, and just give you a hand, I think it becomes a lot more realistic as a scenario.
And coming from this side of it, like from the side of it where I've been in pain since I was 13 in my ankle and having surgeries and feeling like life was not getting taken away from me, because that sounds like a very victim statement to make, but just not being able to move, not being able to do the things that I love. Bringing up, hey, I think I'm done with this. Like, I think I'm done with my leg was a really unnerving thing to do. Like, you think everyone's going to think you're crazy, and if you listen to the internet, apparently you are crazy. But if you're seriously considering this choice and you're bringing it up with your spouse, one thing that I would say is maybe don't expect them to, like, totally understand it immediately. I didn't expect that when I brought it up to you. Obviously, like, I wanted everyone to get it immediately, but also no one else is in your shoes. Also, no one else has been in chronic pain for years upon years. And it can be really difficult to understand why someone would want to remove a part of their body instead of keeping it, because that is obviously a very drastic choice that you can't take back. So if you can manage it, I would say be as patient as you can be with the people around you. I'm sure I probably could have done that better. Have those uncomfortable conversations and get to a place where, if you can, where you guys at least both understand where you're coming from. I think that's really important. How did you feel about me making videos about this whole process?
I was fine with it. It was fine. It wasn't weird in any way. As a matter of fact, like, I can't believe the kind of support that she's gotten through it. For those who don't know, like, we were literally, she decided to do the surgery, and then like a day, maybe two, before the surgery, she was like, I'm gonna start documenting all this because who knows, people might be interested in it.
I published it then because I had been making videos for like a month before that just for myself.
Okay. Yeah. Obviously it's taken off, you know, obviously with, you know, People Magazine and, you know, Fox News. It's been crazy to see like how much support she's got from total strangers, which has been so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are great.
It's
amazing.
Honestly really helped. Strangers on the internet, it really makes a difference.
Yeah, it feels very Edward Snowden-like. Doing an interview on a camera in a hotel room with the shades drawn.
100%. Yeah, I wanted to have them open because then you could see the city behind us, but then we would be like angels silhouetted against the light. It didn't work very well.
If anyone thinks that I should do a spin-off series on YouTube of the comical side of living with an amputee, because it's hysterical watching the things that she does. It seems kind of mean, but some of it's really fun.
But also
some of the things that you do like to compensate for not having her leg. Like watching her crawl up the stairs looking like the girl from The Ring. You know?
Oh God.
I mean, it's in the middle of the night. It is terrifying as fuck.